Greetings. It's good to see you. This short video will serve as orientation for parents wishing to dedicate their children at the Journey South County. We're grateful to see families growing and parents understanding and embracing their responsibility to raise their children in a Christian home, teaching and mentoring the children into the ways of the Lord. Child dedication is an expression of the family's commitment and intent to raise their children in the way of the Lord. So it testifies of the grace and wonder of Christ saving us. It expresses a commitment to love the Lord with all of our hearts. It's a testifying of God's goodness, of His work and His worth in our lives, of His love and faithfulness to us and to our children. And it's a way to express as well our desire to live in community and relationship with one another as the people of God and the Church of God, with our whole families together. And then lastly, it's a commitment to pray together for the Lord's work in our lives. So the first point is that salvation is through Christ for our families, that we believe in Jesus and in Him we're all saved. Ephesians 2 says this, "For by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your doing, it is a gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one can boast. For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." So there are good works that God has prepared for us. He sovereignly set those in place, and we are saved by grace through faith in Jesus Christ, in His life, death, and resurrection. And so we mentor and train our children and let them know that Jesus came and died for us, that the Father's great love sent Christ to the cross for us, and through Christ's death and resurrection, we now have salvation, that we have been brought into the family of God, and that through that we are His workmanship. Young and old are the workmanship of God, created in Christ for good works. And these good works were prepared before the beginning of time for you and I to walk in. And so we mentor and train our children to understand that God so loved the world that He sent His only begotten Son. And so out of that, we love God back. We love God in reaction and as an activity because He so loved us. Deuteronomy 6:5 says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul and all of your might." And so we, as reaction to this great salvation that we have, love the Lord with all of our heart, with all of our soul, and all of our might. We train our children to love God, to love the things of God, and to have a correct awe of God and the things that He does in the earth. And we love Him with all of our heart. We don't hold anything back. We love Him with all of our soul. We love Him with everything that's within us to the greatest extent possible. The third point is that we testify of His great work in our lives, that of His worth and His work and His faithfulness and His love towards us, that He never gives up on us. Deuteronomy 6:7 says, "You shall teach the words and commands diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and you shall walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise." And so this talks of us teaching our children of the Lord's commands and never forgetting Him, but always being about the discipleship and the training and the mentoring of our own children so that they will walk in the ways of the Lord. Psalm 78 also says this, that three things we have heard and known that our fathers have told us, and we will not hide them from our children, but we'll tell them to coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord and His might and the wonders that He has done. So we testify of the glorious deeds of God now, but we also testify of those glorious deeds to the coming generations. We don't hide them from our children, but we let all the generations see the wonder and glory of God, and we testify of His faithfulness and of his love and of his sustaining power towards us all who believe. We don't do this in a vacuum either. We do this with our family around us, with the people around us, the church of God and the family of God that we've entered into when we became Christians. And this really talks to the power of the church and the mission of the church, that we together mentor and nurture one another, and we mentor and nurture our children. And that's why we have people working in Journey Kids, giving up their Sundays to be in the sanctuary to work with children, to train and mentor them, and why we do the same thing in community groups and in small groups when we get with children, because we're about working together to really raising up our children, this generation and the generations to come, into the admonition and fear of the Lord, into the love of the Lord, so that they do love the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength. And we work together as a family to train our children in the way that they should go, so that they love and honor God and love and honor the people of God around us as well. Some practical ideas for you to think about as you consider dedication and then what life would look like afterwards as your children grow up. I would invite you to consider communicating simply and clearly who God is, home training, home discipleship of your children. Talk about God, who He is, who Jesus is. Talk about salvation at certain points when it's opportune. Talk about serving and mission. We want to train and teach this generation, and training and teaching this generation starts with the parents at home. You all have the best opportunity to be able to sit and talk and really disciple your own children into the ways of God. I would also invite you to set a culture of prayer in your life with your children. Pray together as a family and together with your children whenever you get the opportunity, and allow your children to pray with you, and allow them to pray by themselves with you there to listen and to watch. It's a great opportunity for them to see how communication with God, how prayer really affects our lives, and how we live our lives out before God in prayer. And then also in relation to that is the idea of modeling a life of family devotion and commitment to the Lord. Explain to the children the hows and wheres and whys of a committed relationship with Him, and then let your children see your life with God and with your husband or with your wife and with your grandparents and with the family around you and with community groups and extended family, so that they see modeled this ongoing life of devotion and commitment. And then lastly, I would invite you to have fun with your children, discipling them and mentoring them into the things of the Lord. Let them see your joy in God, and let them sense that and feel that and really know that that is a part of what being a Christian is. Of all people, we should be people of joy as we live our lives out before God. So have fun teaching your children and modeling Christian relationship with them and communicating what our lives in the Lord should look like. I hope this is helpful to you. It's really quite a short snapshot. If you have any questions, contact me or anyone else at the Journey South County. We'd be glad to talk more about this with you. Thanks, and we look forward to the dedication. Bye.